I've been haunted by these stories for years, collecting them like fragments of shattered dreams. There's something uniquely terrifying about New Year's horror, a darkness that crawls beneath the champagne and confetti, feeding on our hope. When we're most vulnerable, clutching desperately to the promise of fresh starts, that's when the shadows strike hardest. The old year doesn't just end, it leaves behind scars that bleed into the new one. These 5 stories destroyed real people on what should have been the most hopeful night of their lives. The champagne bottle shattered against the concrete, and Sarah Chen knew her life was about to change forever. But not in the way she'd hoped when she made those resolutions 3 hours earlier. This happened in downtown Portland, New Year's Eve 2019. Sarah was 26, working at a marketing firm, and she'd just moved into her first solo apartment after a brutal breakup with Marcus, a controlling narcissist who'd convinced her she was too weak to live alone. She was determined to prove him wrong by celebrating solo. No drama, no disappointment, just her and the city's fireworks reflecting off the Willamette River. She'd splurged on Dom Perignon, ordered pad thai from her favorite place, and positioned herself on her 5th-floor fire escape to watch the midnight show. According to Portland Police Bureau data, New Year's Eve consistently ranks as the 2nd highest night for domestic disturbance calls, with noise complaints increasing by 340% compared to average nights. The Pearl District, with its converted warehouse apartments and thin walls, generated 23% of those calls despite housing only 8% of the city's population. But what Sarah was about to experience wasn't in any official statistics. The building was one of those converted warehouses from the 1920s, exposed brick still stained with soot from the original textile factory, industrial windows that rattled in their frames, the kind of place that looked trendy in daylight but felt hollow after dark. The developer had cut corners during renovation, leaving gaps in the walls where sounds carried between units like whispers through a confession booth. Most of her neighbors had left for parties or traveled home for the holidays, so the building felt like a mausoleum when she stepped onto the metal grating with her champagne flute. That's when she first heard the crying. It was coming from somewhere below her. A woman's voice, broken and desperate, echoing off the brick walls of the narrow courtyard. But this wasn't ordinary crying. It was the sound of someone whose grief had curdled into something darker. Raw, guttural sobs punctuated by words Sarah couldn't quite make out, spoken in a voice hoarse from hours of weeping. The sound bounced off the buildings in a way that made it impossible to pinpoint, as if the source was moving constantly through the shadows. "Hello?" Sarah called down, her voice cracking slightly. "Are you okay? Do you need help?" The crying stopped immediately.